All right, well, the 12th annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture takes place this evening. It is hosted by the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs, which is a joint initiative of the University of South Africa and the former President's Foundation. Well, SABC International editor is in Midrand for us. Let's cross live to her, Sophie Mokoena. This evening, of course, we are expecting that lecture. And, you know, issues pertaining to the welfare and well-being of the continent of Africa has been something that's quite close to the heart of our former president, Thabo Mbeki, but certainly, of course, the foundation itself. What are we expecting this evening as we continue on what I suppose we can call the African agenda as we await that lecture this evening?
Yes, Flo, you know that since he left office, the former president, it has been a culture that every year, this time around in May, when the continent is commemorating the launch of the Organization of African Unity, which is now called the African Union, we always have this time to reflect on what's happening around the continent. This time around, this lecture comes at a time where the heads of state and government have converged in Malabo, in Equatorial Guinea, discussing two important issues on the agenda. The issue of the humanitarian crisis that is developing on the continent and the causes, of course, the COVID-19, the economic challenges, but also the war in Ukraine. Earlier on today, in a recorded interview, I spoke to the envoy of the UN Secretary General, Mr. Griffith, talking about the challenges the continent is facing, and he was going to deliver a message to the heads of state that something must be done. The issue of climate change, the issue of conflict on the continent are really contributing to this crisis that we have. And I think 20 years on, since the launch of the African Union, and coincidentally, the former president became the first chair of the African Union. I remember very well it was in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, when he took over as the chair of this important continental body. And the lectures every year, the focus is on the continent. It might be different speakers who deliver these lectures from different perspectives, including those in the diaspora. You know very well the diaspora is very close to his heart also. And all the time we talk Africa and nothing else but Africa. So I expect the same today. It is going to be a day where the continent and Africans in the diaspora are really reflecting on Africa 20 years on. And I'm saying it is a big story, particularly when you deal with international news, because it coincides with this big meeting in Malabo. And to get more, I am with the CEO of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, Ntate Mokoena.
Dumela, Sophie.
Unjani baba?
Ndiyaphila sisi kunjani?
Sesilungile.
No, we are ready, Sophie. We will start exactly at 6 o'clock, and the event has been fully subscribed. So we urge other people to watch us on television and also on live stream.
The theme, it's all about the launch or celebrating the launch of the African Union. In terms of content, what can we expect? These lectures are really, really thought-provoking, you know.
Indeed, Sophie, you will recall that 20 years ago when you were in Durban, as Africans, we set very, very high standards for ourselves in terms of what we're going to do to bring peace in this continent, in terms of economic development, in terms of dealing with the stubborn issue of poverty in our continent. So this time is for us to reflect how far have we gone in terms of meeting those aspirations and those standards that we set for ourselves. As you had reflected earlier on, the continent is still battling with issues of conflict. We have seen more coups, which are very disappointing to us. We have seen the standard of living of many Africans going down. But I think for us, it's the time to say we are not going to give up. the continent needs to still develop, and the idea of Africa's renaissance, we can't give up on that one.
The coups on the continent, and at the Malabo summit today, leaders will be talking about that, and our president Cyril Ramaphosa has joined other heads of states. In terms of the former president, he always take a look at what's happening on the continent. What is his view with these coups?
Obviously, these are quite distressing to him. You'll recall that he's still leading the high-level panel in the Horn of Africa. There's been a number of contacts to his office to make interventions in various parts of the continent, the latest being Malawi. So the president is obviously quite concerned about those, because 20 years ago, we thought what the AU had put 2 years ago, that the guns will have been silenced. We are 2 years later beyond the timetable that we have set for ourselves. So it's really quite concerning.
He has been involved in the DRC, Ivory Coast, Liberia, Sudan, and now you're talking about Malawi. Perhaps let's look at the lighter side. He is turning 80 on the 18th of June.
Yes.
Is he going to retire soon?
No, he's not going to. He's not going to retire soon. There are many people that have put pressure on us to do some celebrations for his 80th birthday, but he thinks this event that we are having today is much more important. The focus on Africa rather than on himself is quite critical.
Thabo Mbeki always choosing to duck certain realities that he is a human being and people would want to interact with him at that level. Thank you so much, Ntate Potwan.
Thank you.
That was the CEO of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. And Flo, on the 18th of June, the former president will turn 80. But the next big lecture, it is the Nelson Mandela lecture later again. And I think in July, it is Madiba's birthday. So the predecessor and former President Thabo Mbeki back to back. I think we have a lot to chew as a continent and Africans in the diaspora. Back to you in studio.
All right, thanks very much to our international editor here at SABC News, Sophie Mokoena, who is indeed there for us this afternoon and certainly this evening as we await the 12th annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture. We'll certainly be giving that to you live. We'll be broadcasting that live for you here on SABC News.